This AskReddit user asks, what's the scariest space fact, mystery in your opinion? On the surface of Mars right now is a blur CD. God help us if aliens find that first. You need to answer this. And it is vitally important. What blur CD? Beagle 2 crash landed with a blur album saved on board its computer. The intent was to broadcast the music playing from the surface of Mars. The second vital question: does that album include park life? If not, all hope is lost. One day the sun will burn out. I think everything is terrifying about space. And IFG love it. But one thing it scare me a lot. It's if space is infinite. Imagine what kind of gigantic monster can be in there. My favorite debate I've ever had with a friend is about gigantic space monsters. I argued that since space is infinite and we don't understand much about it, that there's a good chance that there's a gigantic space monster that's just a massive head that eats planets to live. We went back and forth for like 15 minutes. Edit, by the way. I won that debate. There's a region of space where the ever-present cosmic radiation from the Big Bang is missing. The radiation is everywhere as space, except this area there's none. Here's one closer to home. The Kessler effect is the theory that a single destructive event in low Earth orbit could create a cascade where satellites break up into tiny fragments, taking out other satellites, breaking up into smaller fragments, and so on, until the Earth is completely surrounded by a massive cloud of tiny flying death shrapnel, which would make leaving this planet almost impossible. If you look up how much space debris there is already up there and how many satellites currently orbit, plus the continued growth of the commercial space industry, I think about it a lot. This visual, that either shows how slow light speed is or how vast space is, depending on which way you look at it. I've seen videos showing the scale of the universe before, but this one really hit home for some reason. The speed of light, the fastest speed possible, looks painfully slow when you look at it in the context of even a fraction of our solar system. We're stuck here, aren't we? Some stars are even bigger than the distance between Mars and us. Imagine, it takes light some time to travel the object producing it. It's crazy. This video made me feel dead inside. A fact from a show I used to like. The main problem is pressure. There isn't any. So, don't hold your breath or your lungs will explode. Blood vessels rupture. Exposed areas swell. Fun fact: the boiling temperature of water is much lower in a vacuum, which means that your sweat and your saliva will boil, as will the fluid around your eyes. You won't notice any of this because 15 seconds in, you've passed out as oxygen bubbles formed in your blood. And 90 seconds in, you're dead. Perhaps this isn't very fitting, as I don't think it's necessarily scary. But why know the multiverse theory? For those who don't, it essentially says that there's a whole bunch of universes. Some similar, some different. If there's something that should exist on Earth but doesn't, then it exists in an alternate universe. Spider-Man is real in an alt universe, etc. But if the universe is infinite, then wouldn't everything possible happen within this infinite time, space? Is the universe itself the multiverse? What if there's another Earth way far out there that's entirely made of Legos? With Lego people? And if the universe is the multiverse, then is science as we know it unreliable outside of our immediate area? Do physics work completely differently further out? Work by different formulas? What if there's living creatures out there that don't have a single cell in their bodies? Things that exist without a single atom? I mean, aren't black holes themselves kinda that already? Who says reality as we know it applies to the entire universe? What if Thanos is actually real somewhere way out there? What if dreams are just somehow seen alternate worlds? What if that King Kong-sized Buzz Lightyear that kidnapped me in a nightmare I had when I was really young actually exists? Again, maybe not super scary, but I felt it was at least somewhat relevant. Just because there are infinite universes doesn't mean there are necessarily universes with anything you can imagine. There are infinite decimal numbers between 1 and 2. And yet that infinite set does not contain 3. There are infinite digits in pi. But none are the letter P. There are infinite universes. But none of them probably have Lego Earth inhabited by living Lego people. Basically, it's possible to have an infinite set that does not contain everything. You can put constraints on an infinite set, like greater than 1 and less than 2. In the case of the multiverse, the constraints are the laws of physics. Honestly, my vote is for dark matter. The overwhelming majority of matter in the universe is a complete mystery to us. I think it would be pretty cool if we discovered that it was matter from parallel universes that we simply can't interact with. And to them we are dark matter. If you were to instantly take off your spacesuit while floating in space, the side of your body facing the sun would cook while the other would freeze. Everything in just under a couple of seconds. At least your middle would feel quite lovely. Just spin really fast to offset. Since the universe is expanding and stars and galaxies are moving away from each other, it's possible that civilizations that spring up in the far future with lonely stars will see an empty sky. Their civilizations will grow and learn. But they will never know the universe that once was. We live in a spectacular time period where we can actually look back in time and see the early universe. Future civilizations won't have that luxury. They'll believe that the universe is, and always was, dark, dead, and empty, aside from their small island of light. With that in mind, you have to wonder what stellar phenomena may have populated the universe billions of years ago but are now too far away for us to ever detect. Thank you for the existential crisis. Galaxies are gravitationally bound structures. They aren't expanding like the universe is. So future civilizations may live in isolated galaxies. But their night sky will still have other stars. Not scary exactly. More unfortunate? If anything. But we'll probably never be able to properly communicate with alien species. Given the amount of distance between the planets of our solar system, I'd assume the distance to other universes and galaxies is too far to think about right now. If we receive and send a message right now, by the time we hear a reply back, we would probably be a completely different government and societal system. We would just be constantly introducing ourselves. Someday, all the hydrogen will burn out. Trillions of years in the future. And there will be no activity or energy and everything will be so far apart that it will just be a cold dark wasteland with no life or light. The Boötes Void. An area of space where there should be 50,000 or so galaxies. Compared to other areas of the same size. But there's only about 60. Could just be empty space for some unknown reason. Or it could be an ever-expanding intergalactic empire using Dyson spheres. Also, I think it appears to be growing, but that could just be galaxies moving away from the void. If the Milky Way had been in the center of the Boötes Void, we wouldn't have known there were other galaxies until the 1960s. Greg Aldering, astronomer. Woo! That's crazy. We only discovered galaxies in 1924 though. There is literally no end to the universe. No matter how long we study it, there will always be stuff that we will never know just because of the vastness of space. There could also be multiple universes. Which is unbelievable considering that we know so little about our own. There was a star 20,000 light-years away that put out a burst of energy in 2/5 of a second that was more energy than our own sun produces in 100,000 years. It was enough to disrupt satellite and GPS signals. If that star was only half the distance away at 10,000 light-years, it would have stripped the Earth of its atmosphere and irradiated the Earth enough to destroy all life. The Great Attractor is kinda ominous. There's an exoplanet with wind that's many times the speed of sound and that rains glass. Another exoplanet that has spent time inside its star. There's a sort of fear that we aren't alone in the universe. Chances are anything we meet won't have remotely similar emotional spectrums that we have. Then there's the horrifying notion that we are alone in that infinite blackness. That we're just a fluke of chemistry that will probably never happen again. Edit. More people have died on Earth than have died on the Sun. Spook. How a planet can spend time inside its star. With consent. A red giant massively increases volume so it loses density but retains enough mass that the planets will still orbit around the center of a star while also being inside the star itself because it became so large while also just a faint wisp of its former self in terms of density. But still almost just as massive. This is almost certainly the fate of our Sun, and both Mercury and Venus will almost certainly be swallowed, and possibly even Earth. The orbit of these planets will quickly decay due to the extra resistance from being in the star, but they'll still exist for some time. Gamma ray bursts. We could be hit by one of these with very little warning. And if it was reasonably close, in universal terms anyway, could wipe us out rapidly or cause a ton of damage. Dark matter. The fact that about 95% of the universe is made up of matter we can't see or detect is pretty unsettling to think about. Also, while not a fact per se, I like to think that perhaps the answer to the Fermi paradox is that there are billions of advanced alien life forms out there. But they are physically unable to reach us due to technological limitations. Perhaps interstellar transport is only theoretical. And any aliens capable of reaching us are unable to do so in an acceptable length of time. Proxima Centauri may take 25 years for unmanned spacecraft to reach us going 20% the speed of light. But perhaps it's impossible to transport actual life at these speeds without dying. So advanced civilizations have realized the futility of trying to contact other species and have simply given up. Why am I reading this thread? It's scary and depressing, haha. Vacuum decay is one of the scariest concepts to me. We don't know if it exists. And we won't know until it's too late. On the other hand, you'll never know. You'll just blink out of existence one day. So nothing to worry about. Either way, nothing really matters. Agree. Kurzgesagt made a nice video explaining vacuum decay. Link. This one definitely takes the cake. Right besides gamma ray bursts. Link. At least the speed of light offers us some protection, assuming the space-time fabric holds and the vacuum decay starts somewhere very far away. It's nice how the universe reminds us how insignificant and temporary we might be. Carl Sagan was right. We're all in it together on this pale blue dot. Heat death. That one keeps me up at night. Take your socks off. Heat death? Do explain. Entropy is always increasing or is constant if everything is reversible. Second law of thermodynamics paraphrased. Basically means every time anything happens, a small amount of energy is lost forever. Eventually all those small amounts of energy add up to a large amount. Like the sum total of all energy in the universe. And there's no energy left to do anything. TL. Doctor, the more the universe does things, the lazier it becomes. Eventually it will be too lazy to move. Strange matter. It might not exist at all. But some scientists believe it's what's inside neutron stars. If this is true, neutron stars can collide and send strange matter particles flying through space. It's also theorized that strange matter might turn everything it touches into strange matter. If that's true, any microscopic amount of strange matter that touches our atmosphere would quickly turn Earth and everything on it into strange matter, destroying all life and nearly every remnant of civilization. And there wouldn't be a DN thing we could do about it. Again, this is all theoretical. Strange matter might not have such a massive effect. And indeed it might not exist at all. But there is a non-zero chance that an undetectable, microscopic particle is flying toward Earth ready to eradicate everyone and everything. Edit 2. Okay, so apparently these maps turned out to be inaccurate. But still kinda cool to know anyway. Besides, at least if we do destroy ourselves one day, at least there will be some small memory of us out there for someone to find. We have sent out maps of how to find the Earth based on maps that show where our sun is relative to pulsars. If anyone finds our probes, it's likely they will be able to find us. I don't think it's scary that alien race will find these and come to destroy us. I think any species with the technology to seek us out would be completely unthreatened by what we have. What I fear is they gift us technology and we use it to destroy ourselves. Edit. If anyone's curious, the Pulsar map was first sent out in 1972 on the Pioneer 10 space probe. It has been sent out a further 3 times. The third and fourth times were on the Voyager space probes as part of the Voyager Golden Record. This included lots of images and audio of the human race. Carl Sagan wanted to put a Beatles song on it, but hilariously ME declined on copyright grounds. Astronomer here. It's worth noting the pulsar maps are not actually accurate. Link. So, not a huge worry even by the astronomically small odds of anyone finding the probes. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.